So hi everyone. So today we'll be discussing about the forces acting on immersed curves. So during the last class we have seen that if we are immersing a plane surface into the water or liquid, whatever it is, so it will be experiencing some force, and the point where the force is acting is called as the center of pressure. And you have seen the equation how to find the total pressure as well as the center of pressure. And today what happens if we are immersing a curve? A curve is not a plane, it is actually a curve. It can be concave curve or a convex curve, and you need to find what is the magnitude of force acting on such a curve. So for example, if you take any curve like this, just assume that this is the curve that you are having. So this is the curve that you have got, and it is having water up to this much height. So it is holding water up to this much height. This is the part of a container. The container, you have a container like this. Just say for example, the container is like this. So you have got a container like this. So I'm taking a particular liquid and just consider this much portion. It's portion A to B. Portion A to B is a curve. Similarly, you have a curve here also. The portion from A to B, you have a curve. So I need to find the magnitude of force which is acting due to the liquid pressure on this curve AB. So we know this. So earlier I have said that if you have any surface, always the pressure will be acting perpendicular to it. For example, if you have a horizontal thing, then surface, the pressure acting on it will be vertical. Similarly, if you have a vertical surface, then the pressure acting or the force acting will be perpendicular to it, the liquid pressure. Similarly, if you have an inclined, then also the pressure acting will be perpendicular to it. So what happens to the curve? In a curve, at every point, what happens? The direction is changing. So if I divide this into different parts, I'm dividing this into each different parts. So I've divided this into number of parts. So just see the first part. If I'm taking it, the first part, the liquid pressure acting will be perpendicular to that surface. It will be like this. Similarly, if I take this part, it will be acting perpendicular like this. Similarly, with every part, the liquid pressure acting will be perpendicular to it. So the force acting will be like this. So at every point, the direction of pressure is varying. So you can understand that because it will be perpendicular. Since the curve is changing its direction, the pressure also will be changing its direction. So what can I do is, if I take any point, see, here this one pressure is acting vertically, here the pressure is acting horizontally, at every other point it is acting at an inclination. So if I have got any pressure or force like this, I can resolve it into a horizontal component and vertical component. So there are number of forces or pressure like this which is inclined. So I can in fact resolve all these forces into a horizontal component and vertical component. So in short, what I can say is that if I take a curve like this, if it is having liquid till a particular height, then I can say that there is a horizontal component as well as vertical component. The horizontal component, let it be sigma h, and the vertical component, let it be sigma v. Because since this is the curve, liquid is on this portion, so the liquid will be exerting a pressure on the curve. So that is why the horizontal direction is towards this. At the same time, you are holding the liquid, so the liquid will be exerting a weight downwards, and that is sigma v. So that is acting downwards, sigma h is acting towards this direction. Now the resultant of both this will be the total pressure F. So we have already seen that the total pressure, as during our last video we have discussed what does it mean by total pressure. So it is the total force acting due to liquid pressure. So it can be found by, because sigma h and sigma v, the resultant is F. So that is sigma h square plus sigma v square. Now if this angle is alpha, you can find tan alpha. So I'll just redraw this. This is sigma h, this is sigma v, then this will be your resultant F. So if I join this, see, sigma h, you have sigma h here, the same will be here, sigma h. So this angle is alpha. So what is tan alpha from this? Tan alpha is equal to, sorry, no, okay, fine. Let this angle be alpha. Sorry. Let this angle be alpha, the angle which it is making with the horizontal. So this side will be sigma v. So tan alpha, if you take tan alpha is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. So opposite side is sigma v by sigma h. So it means that your alpha value is equal to tan inverse sigma v by sigma h. Always remember, this is the angle which it is making with the horizontal. Alpha is the angle which it is making with the horizontal. So this is the equation. Now the main question is how to find this sigma h and sigma v. That you need to learn. So this is your container. Container is having a curved portion from A to B, and you have a liquid, and this AB is a curve. And as I have said, you have a horizontal force as well as a vertical force. You need to find this to find the total pressure. So if you see, this is the curve portion. The curve is holding water up to this much portion. So this is the amount. Let this be A dash. So if you see the amount of liquid inside the portion A dash BA, that is liquid in A dash AB, that is this much portion. If I say this much portion of liquid is there, so I need to find the weight of that, the liquid. So I need to find the weight of, so that much weight is nothing but the sigma v. The total weight will be acting downwards, so the downward force, so the vertical force sigma will be equal to the weight of liquid above the curve, above the curve. See, for example, if your curve is having, see this curve is having an area of this much, so the weight of the liquid will be equal to the area of liquid which I am shaded multiplied by the thickness. So if I need to show it with a container, say for example, if we have a container like this, you have a container like this. Now this is the thickness of the container. Let that thickness be represented as T. The thickness is represented as T. Just assume that you have liquid inside the container. It is completely containing any liquid. So how to find the volume of this liquid? So what you have to do is you have to find the area. Initially you have to find the area. That area has to be multiplied by this thickness. Then what you get? You get the volume. So if you fill it with liquid, what happens? What's the volume of the liquid? The volume of the liquid will be volume of this container. Similarly, you need to find the volume of liquid. So what you have to do is first you have to find the area of this part. That area has to be multiplied by the thickness. So you can say the weight is nothing but, so to find, initially you need to find the volume. Sorry, to find the volume of liquid in A dash AB is equal to, what you have to do is area of A dash AB multiplied by thickness. So then you get the volume. Now volume is not equal to weight. How to find the weight from volume? We have already learned something called as weight density. So weight density gamma was equal to weight divided by volume. Right now you know the volume, you need to find the weight. How to find the weight? Weight is nothing but your weight density multiplied by volume. So here you have a liquid. Just assume that the liquid is having a weight density of gamma. The volume is this much. So how to find the weight? Weight is equal to gamma multiplied by the area. Area of A dash AB multiplied by thickness. So this is your volume. Volume multiplied by weight density will get you the weight. So that's how you calculate sigma v. So this is how you calculate sigma v. So that's the part for sigma v. Now what you have to do is you have to find sigma h. So to find sigma h, I'll tell you what's the procedure. So if you have a curve like this is a curve, as shown in the earlier figure. This is the curve, it is having liquid, curve is extending from A to B. What you have to do is you have to project it to a vertical. Just assume that you have a vertical screen here. You are keeping it in a vertical screen. Now just assume that you are projecting this. You have already learned the projection. Say for example, if you take a sphere, just assume that you take a sphere, and what you have to do is sphere is a 3-dimensional figure, isn't it? So you need to project that to a 2-dimensional surface. Say for example, you take a sphere. Just assume that you take a sphere and you project it to a wall. So what is the shape that you are obtaining on the wall? On the wall you will be getting a circle, isn't it? That means if you are taking anything, a 3-dimensional shape of sphere, when you project it to a 2-dimensional wall, you get a circle. Similarly, if you have a cone, I'll explain it in a very simple manner. Just assume that you have a sphere like this and you are just using a torch light to illuminate it, and you are projecting it to a vertical screen. So what you'll obtain on the screen will be, you'll be obtaining a circle. So when you are viewing from this side, what you see is you'll be seeing a dark circle here. So that means the vertical projection of a sphere. Sphere is 3-dimensional. So in 2-dimensional, what you obtain, it will be a circle. Similarly, if you are projecting a cone, so if you are projecting a cone, what you'll be obtaining? You'll be obtaining a triangle. So similarly, if you have a curve, so when you have a curve like this and you are projecting it, what you will be obtaining? You will be obtaining nothing but a rectangle like this. If you are projecting this, you will be obtaining, because I will show the figure. Just see this figure. This is a curve. You have a curve like this and you have a vertical plane here. You are projecting this towards the vertical plane. So what you obtain when you are projecting it, what you will be obtaining? You will be obtaining something like this. So this curve changes to a vertical plane. So that is our concept. So to find the horizontal force which is acting, what you have to do is you have to project this to a vertical plane. In a vertical plane, you will be obtaining a regular shape like this. So now what happened? The curve has got converted to a vertical plane. So you have already learned how to find the force acting on a vertical plane. So the force acting on the vertical plane we have already seen earlier. So I am not going to explain it again. So I am again drawing the figure of the explanation, that you have a curve like this and you have got liquid. What you need to find is, you need to find the horizontal force acting it. So for that, what you have to do is you have to project this to a vertical plane. So when you are projecting it to a vertical plane, you will be obtaining a rectangle like this. You are obtaining a rectangle like this. So when you project it, you will get it like this. Now you have converted this curve to a vertical plane. Now you know how to calculate. So sigma h will be equal to the total pressure acting on the vertical projection of the curve. That is how you find sigma h. You convert this curve to a vertical plane. Once you get the vertical plane, you have to calculate what is the force acting on the vertical plane. That will be equal to sigma h. Similarly, sigma v was the weight of the liquid above the curve. Now to calculate the total force, you will be having sigma h square plus sigma v square. So this is how you find the forces acting on a curve.